presenting this keynote is Mario Nawfal, Chief Executive Officer, NFT Technologies. So please welcome on stage Mario Nawfal.
Test. Thank you. Yo, thank you for coming. Well, thank me for traveling here as well. So I'll be talking about something I've talked about for very, very long. I recommend you start the timer because I can go for hours, otherwise you're screwed. So I've talked about the metaverse I've talked about it in New Delhi twice already at TEDx and some other event I forgot. So that's how often I travel around talking about the concept. Many of you have heard me talk about it on Twitter Spaces as well to a pretty big audience. So, I have an idea of what I'm talking about. And even I would tell you, there's a lot of unknowns. So what I'll try to touch on, and I'll be quick because the presentation is for an hour speech, and I've only got 15 minutes. So I'll try to go through them quickly. I want to get an understanding first. Who understands what NFTs are? Put your hand up. I know it's very basic. Okay. By the way, most of you are wrong. I'll tell you now. So first, I'll go through the concept of the metaverse. Unleashing the power of FinTech. It's not my presentation, guys. All right, so I'm going to define the metaverse first, the open metaverse. So listen very carefully, because this is probably the best definition you'll hear, and it's very simple and basic as well. The metaverse is a digital representation of the physical world we live in today. Pretty easy. Without predetermined physics. That's where it gets interesting. So the first part, everything you do in the physical world, like you're socializing, many of you are socializing right now, signaling a certain identity. If you're wearing branded clothes, you're wearing a Rolex, whatever it is, building communities. What's going to happen is you're going to do more and more things in that virtual world. Instagram filters are like the new makeup. Zoom is the new boardroom. Dating apps are the new pubs and clubs. So we're already shifting to that digital world. We're already living in that metaverse. I got AirPods here. I got more AirPods in my other pocket there. And I'm always tuned in. So we live in the metaverse already based on the definition I've just given you guys. It's just a Web 2 metaverse. It's a closed ecosystem. It's an ecosystem controlled or owned by a very small number of entities. Meta, which is formerly known as Facebook, TikTok, Apple. Apple controls the most important aspect. They control the bridge into the digital world. So the other part is without predetermined physics. Well, right now if I step off here, I'll probably fall. If I drop this, it will drop on the ground. Why? Because we have physics in the physical world. And in the virtual world, and anyone that doesn't game, you might find this to be silly, but it's not. Becoming a dragon, teleporting, flying. Kids live in that world already. It's nothing, for them, doesn't sound as crazy as it might for some of you. So there's no physics in the virtual world, in the metaverse. So how does the metaverse function? Well, we build physics in the metaverse. Code becomes physics. And messing up code could destroy an ecosystem, could destroy a metaverse, could destroy a decentralized game. Anyway, I've digressed. So metaverse is synchronous, persistent. I think you can connect the dots there. Okay, so how fast will this move? Now I've done this speech a lot in the bull market. Now I'm doing it in a bear market, which is more exciting. Why? finally we can talk, I can say this and you guys can understand, it's going to take a long time. We saw Metaverse projects skyrocket in the bull run, decentralized games skyrocket, and suddenly a lot of them dropped by 80, 90, 95%. Many of them already have or will go to 0%. Why? Because it's just way too early. You know, how long did the internet take to get to where it is today? So the human brain, I've said this a lot, it overestimates the short-term impact of innovation and underestimates the long-term potential. I'm focusing on the second part, the long-term potential. And every form of innovation moves faster. TCP/IP era, Web 1.0 moved faster than the mainframe era in the 70s. Web 2.0 grew much faster than Web 1.0. Crypto's growing about 1.5x the speed of Web 2.0 based on network effect. So we'll probably see the open metaverse grow faster than previous technologies, despite the hurdles. What else do we have? All right, so this is where, who's an investor here? Who's a VC or is investing in the space? Not many of you, okay, a couple. Who's building a metaverse, an open ecosystem? Anyone, any builders here? Okay, all right. All right, for builders, the adoption phase of the metaverse is very interesting. We're seeing two aspects. We're seeing social media platforms jumping all over the concept of the metaverse, and not recently, it's been happening for many years, if you pay attention. And we're seeing games open up. We've got the concept of play-to-earn games. Who knows what play-to-earn games are? Okay, all right, so I won't define it. It's actually playing and earning money. So this is the early phase of the ecosystem. What we're seeing is that games are becoming more social. Building, you know, there's a game where you can actually have politics. People can vote. You've got games where, in most games now, you socialize. You can signal a certain identity. You can wear a Gucci bag in a game because you can signal that identity. And we're seeing social metaverses get more gamified. So we're seeing the both worlds collide as the metaverse evolves. So for people building the ecosystem, that's a few tips there for you. All right, so the metaverse, it improves our life. It doesn't make it worse. I'll talk later how it's not going to lead to a utopia. I was talking to a few people about it earlier. It's not going to, you know, decentralization is not going to make our world suddenly so much better. You know, all these big companies will no longer control our lives in many ways, and we're going to have that perfect world. People expected this for Web 1.0, and look what we have. We have companies, Meta, Google, Amazon, that have more power than any company has had in history. And there's a quote by Tim Sweeney, I think it was, and he says that the company or the protocol, I'm paraphrasing it, that ends up running the back end of the metaverse, which very likely could be just one protocol, will have more power than any company, any organization, or even any country in our physical world. That's not a random person saying it, that's Tim Sweeney. And he likened that company or that protocol to God. And that's true. Go back to what I said, physics. Imagine a company controlling physics on this planet. Imagine a company controlling gravity. That's pretty scary. Well, that's what we're going to have in the open metaverse. And we're hoping to have that protocol to be an open protocol that we all build on, similar to the TCP/IP protocol, which we're heading down that path. And most companies understand that's how it will probably look like. And we'll have centralized entities built on top of it. So as an investor, there will be room for those companies. Apple will be a big winner in the early days if they play their cards right. Because they control as I said, they control the portal into the web, the App Store. We're all at their mercy. Now, they make more money off Roblox than Roblox themselves make. Imagine, the App Store makes more money off Roblox, everyone knows Roblox, the metaverse, than Roblox themselves. That's insane. And all they do is they sit in the middle so people can go on the App Store and download Roblox. So if they continue having that position in an open metaverse, so short term, they're going to be doing well. Long term, I don't think it's sustainable. Again, I could be completely wrong. Nobody knows. Nobody. But it's just hard to imagine that them controlling that bridge into that world. I don't think regulators will be too happy either. It's just too much power. I don't think Meta and them will be happy either. Okay, so I'll talk about this in the panel as well, because everyone looks at VR, AR, and even haptics as the metaverse. It's not. Go back to my definition. You can go on your computer, you can go on your phone, put your AirPods in. You're already living in that digital world. Now, VR, AR will just make the experience more immersive. It will make it a better experience to be in that digital world. The same way cars and planes make the physical world better. The mic makes it easier for me. If I speak to you without mic, it's hard to speak without the mic. But the mic makes it very easy to communicate. So VR, AR are just going to be tools to make life in that digital world better. All right. Oh, I skipped one. Let's see what I skipped. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of public companies that enter the metaverse just to get the press. So anyone in PR here, that's a good opportunity for you. Work with those big companies. They just want to mention, like before Roblox's IPO, there were probably 3, 4, or 5, I can't remember how many, mentions of the term metaverse in companies' press releases. After Roblox's IPO in whenever 2021, there's been thousands of mentions. They want their stock to go up. They mention metaverse. Okay, let's get it. That's where it gets exciting. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, so as I said, the open protocol that will run the open metaverse is going to have so much wealth. There was another quote at the beginning. Can't remember who quoted it. I think it's Chris Dixon or someone. McKinsey's estimates the metaverse will be valued at $5 trillion in 5 years. I think it was 5 years. 5 trillion, TR. Okay? Chris Dixon says it's gonna be bigger than the physical world, the economy we operate in today, the physical world economy. The virtual economy will be bigger in a decade or whenever. That's 14x the number given by McKinsey's. And everyone's excited. McKinsey said 5 trillion. Chris Dixon says it's going to be 14x that number. Why? Because our life is shifting to that virtual world. Many of you are filming me with their phones. A lot of you will just probably text someone now. Probably buy some tokens using your phone. Like everything is virtual. So imagine all that is moving to the concept of the metaverse, and I believe it's going to be all operating on one base layer protocol. Let's say it's Ethereum. They'll have layer 2s, etc. built on top of it. There'll be centralized metaverses built on that open protocol. There'll be decentralized metaverses built on that open protocol, but there will be one open protocol in which we operate in. Why do I say this? Well, look at our life. Look at us as a species. Remember, we are building this metaverse, yeah? We didn't create physics, but we're creating the virtual physics. So globalization led to one metric system. It led to certain ways of life, certain ways of measuring things, led to trade, all of it converging, transport, etc. So if you shift to the virtual world, TCP/IP wasn't the only protocol for the web until mid-90s, I think early or mid-90s. We had different protocols in the early days, and then we merged onto TCP/IP. So in the short term, we'll have multiple blockchains to run the open metaverse, but eventually we'll all be built, in my opinion, we'll all converge to one blockchain. It's just part of us as a species. That blockchain will be worth so much, it's going to be insane. Physical ownership. Yeah, look, if anyone's wondering why should the metaverse be open, well, imagine like you own a home, yeah? Imagine that home is just seized by a central entity. Yeah, you can't go back to your room and sleep. It's hard to imagine. Well, right now, that's how the digital world works. If you've got in-game assets, the game can take those assets away from you. That's not sustainable, but we consider it the norm. And that's why you've got gaming as the early adoption of the open metaverse, because people want to own their assets. Imagine owning a spaceship in a game and then being able to move that spaceship to another game and use it there. Now, the problem, and that's interoperability. So I've got 2 minutes, and I'll touch on that last point. For the open metaverse to function, interoperability is really important. Now, in the physical world, if you wear Nike shoes into an Adidas store, it's very easy. Okay, you can walk into the store, no one's going to stop you. And physics allow you to wear any shoe into that store. In the digital world, you have to build that in. You're building physics. So if you want to wear Adidas shoes into a Nike Metaverse, Nike has to build in within the code to allow their ecosystem to accept this asset, this NFT, this digital asset, which is an Adidas shoe. I'm giving a very silly example. That example is from Matthew Ball. But it makes a point that interoperability will need to be built into the open metaverse and will take very long. So in the last few seconds, I'll end it with this. We're in a bear market now. Perfect. Now it's time to find those opportunities, find those protocols, find those ecosystems, building the right thing, doing it the right way, that understand where the metaverse is heading, whether it's a closed ecosystem, a public company, or an open, or a decentralized game, an open protocol, an open metaverse. You know, that's what we're focusing on. We're incubating a lot of those projects. And now we're finally looking for projects that are already launched, because everything is just priced considerably. We've had projects drop by 95% that have gamers, that have adoption, that have the tech already built out. So it's a pretty exciting time now to get into the space. And remember the numbers, $5 trillion in 5 years, 14, 15, $16 trillion in the next decade. You know, those are estimates. No one knows how long it will take. But it gives you an idea of the potential. If you don't understand it, if you're ignoring it, it's at your own loss. So I appreciate you being here, and I hope you got value from this.
Thank you, Mario, for being a part of FinTech Festival India. Mega event.